It was 2:47 a.m. on a Tuesday when my phone buzzed with a message from my wife. Linda was supposed to be in Las Vegas attending a work conference. Instead, she sent me a picture of herself and her co-worker William standing outside a cheap wedding chapel, holding up marriage certificates. Her message read, "Just married William. Been sleeping with him for 8 months. You're pathetic, by the way. Your limptic energy made this so easy. Enjoy your sad little life." I stared at the screen in silence, let the words sink in, then typed a single word back, "Cool," before she could say anything else. I sprang into action. What Linda had in secrecy, she lacked in financial sense. Nearly everything in our life was under my control. The house, the bank accounts, even the credit cards. She only had access as an authorized user. By the time the clock hit 3:15 a.m., I had already shut down all her credit cards, changed every password she could remember, removed her access to every account, and called a 24-hour locksmith. It cost me $300, but I'd have paid double just for the peace of mind. I screenshotted everything from my records as I went. The locksmith arrived just after 4. By 5, all the locks were new and the garage code had been reset. Satisfied, I went back to bed and caught a few hours of sleep. Around 8, I was woken up by loud, urgent knocking at the door. 2 police officers stood outside, visibly annoyed. One of them explained they'd gotten a call about a domestic issue. My wife, they said, had reported that I'd locked her out of her home. I handed them my phone, still showing her message. "She's not my wife," I said. "She married someone else a few hours ago." The older officer raised his eyebrows, visibly surprised. The younger one tried to stay professional, but I caught a twitch at the corner of his mouth. He was barely holding back a smirk. They told me she was also claiming I had stolen her money and belongings. I calmly explained that the house had been purchased before we got married, that all financial accounts were in my name, and that she had only ever been an authorized user on the credit cards. I hadn't touched any of her personal property. They asked to verify the message, so I showed them my phone again, complete with the timestamp. The senior officer radioed back to her, telling her that this was a matter for attorneys, not law enforcement. He said that if she had married someone else, they couldn't force me to let her inside. I could hear her shouting through the radio. She was furious. The officers advised me not to tamper with any of her possessions and left shortly after I assured them everything would be placed outside for her to collect. That afternoon, she showed up. She brought William with her, along with her mother Barbara and her sister Susan. William looked like he wanted to be anywhere but there. I guess the reality of marrying a woman who had no money and nowhere to live hit him hard once the Vegas glitter faded. Barbara tried to threaten me with another call to the police. I reminded her how well that had worked out earlier. Susan screamed that I was a controlling psycho. William tried to puff his chest and act tough, but when I casually mentioned I'd be sending their wedding photo to their company's HR department, who happened to have a strict no-dating policy between co-workers, he deflated quickly. Linda started sobbing and accusing me of financial abuse. But I had already boxed up every last thing of hers and placed it neatly in the garage. I told them they had 1 hour to load up and get off my property. Then came the best moment of all. Linda tried to use her credit card at the U-Haul rental office. It got declined. William had to cover the cost. The look on his face was unforgettable. Later that day, my lawyer called with some news. Apparently, Linda was trying to claim that the Vegas wedding was a result of manipulation and alcohol. She wanted an annulment and, more shockingly, intended to file for rights to my house, arguing that we were technically still married when she left for the trip. My lawyer actually laughed. She had sent written proof of both infidelity and bigamy. She didn't stand a chance. Through mutual friends, I also learned that William lived in his mom's basement and had assumed Linda was financially secure. He clearly bet on the wrong future. Things were far from over. The next wave came fast. Linda launched a social media smear campaign, accusing me of being a toxic, narcissistic husband who had emotionally trapped her. She claimed she was forced to find love elsewhere and painted herself as the victim. Her mother and sister spread it like wildfire. Shockingly, a few of our shared friends believed her. What she didn't account for was David, My buddy, who happens to be the tech wizard of our group, he helped me recover old Facebook messages between Linda and William, stretching back over a year. In them, she boasted about playing the long game, bragged that she was almost done stashing enough money for her dream wedding with William, and called me stupid for not noticing. One of the messages that stood out said, "He's so dumb. I've been moving money from our grocery account for months. Almost have enough for my dream wedding with you, baby." That grocery account? It wasn't joint. It was my personal account, which I let her use for everyday expenses. I pulled the bank statements and confirmed it. She had been withdrawing cash regularly, spending a portion on food, and pocketing the rest. I posted screenshots of the messages and statements. Her lies didn't survive the daylight. Then she lost it completely. She had her father call my workplace, trying to paint me as a harasser. My boss, who knew the full story, told him politely to buzz off. She showed up at my house at 3 a.m, trying to break in. My new cameras caught everything. Her shouting nonsense about her grandmother's jewelry. For the record, her grandmother is very much alive and still wearing it. She accused me of killing her cat. We've never had a cat. I'm allergic. Then she started calling my mom, sobbing about how she made a huge mistake, that William didn't mean anything, and she just wanted her old life back. My mother didn't miss a beat. "Maybe you should have thought of that before sleeping with someone else for 8 months, she said. And just when I thought I'd seen the peak of her delusion, things took another turn. I wasn't expecting to hear from William's mother, but she called anyway. Her name's Sarah, and the moment I answered, she launched into a tone-deaf plea. According to her, I needed to man up and take Linda back. Apparently, her precious son couldn't handle the burden of a wife, and had made a young man's mistake. She said William didn't mean any harm, that boys will be boys, and now poor Linda was stranded, and it was on me to fix it. I paused and asked her plainly if she was seriously asking me to forgive a woman who cheated on me, just so her son wouldn't have to deal with the consequences of what he'd done. Her response? "Well, when you say it like that, you sound selfish. Marriage is supposed to be about forgiveness." That was enough. I ended the call. Later that night, Linda reached out one last time. She borrowed a friend's phone and sent me a message that read, "You destroyed my life. I hope you're proud." I replied without hesitation, "I actually am. Thanks for checking in." Then I blocked that number too. The first court hearing for our divorce is tomorrow. My attorney says it'll be swift and painless, thanks to the whole marrying another man while still married thing. Turns out, committing bigamy doesn't leave a lot of room for negotiation. Honestly, I'm looking forward to it. The hearing did not disappoint. It was perfect. Linda came in wearing a white dress like she was starring in some romantic drama, forgetting we were in divorce court, and she was the one being divorced for getting hitched to someone else. The judge's reaction was everything. Her lawyer tried a desperate spin, arguing the Vegas wedding shouldn't count because Linda had been emotionally unstable and under pressure from William. The judge raised an eyebrow and asked what kind of pressure she was referring to. Her lawyer claimed William had filled her head with promises and made her believe that leaving me was the only path forward. My lawyer stood calmly and responded, "Your Honor, I have 73 pages of Facebook messages here showing the defendant plotted this relationship well in advance." He paused, then glanced at Linda. "Actually, what last name is she going by now?" The judge reviewed the messages. His expression went from neutral to disturbed, then landed somewhere between bemused and disappointed. He looked over his glasses and read aloud from one of the texts. "Can't wait to see his stupid face when he realizes I took him for everything." Linda's face turned scarlet. She stammered. That was taken out of context. The judge tilted his head and asked, "In what context does that sentence look better?" The courtroom fell into silence. The divorce was finalized. Linda walked away with her personal effects and the car that was still under her name and on loan. That's it. She didn't get a cent more. In fact, she was ordered to pay me alimony, $500 a month for 6 months, as compensation for support I gave her while she completed her certification course last year. It wasn't about the money. Watching her jaw tighten in rage over that judgment, that was priceless. As we stepped out of the courtroom, chaos erupted. Barbara, Linda's mom, began screeching that I was robbing her poor baby. Susan, Linda's sister, attempted to throw her coffee at me. She missed, and ended up splashing it all over Sarah, William's mother, who had come to offer her moral support to young love. What followed was a full-on argument between the two moms that almost escalated into a brawl. Courthouse security had to break it up, and William? He didn't even bother showing up, according to Sarah, who, to her credit, was now furious at both of them. He had already moved on with a 22-year-old bartender he met the night of the Vegas wedding. Apparently, their romantic reception took place at a casino bar, and that's where he found his next love interest. Linda fell apart on the courthouse steps. This wasn't movie-style crying. It was a kind of sobbing that leaves your face puffy and your shirt damp. Snot and all. She kept wailing that this wasn't how things were supposed to happen. Her sister leaned in to comfort her and told her she could come stay with her for a while. Linda's response was loud and honest. "I can't. Your apartment smells like cats and depression." Even Susan seemed done with her after that. Word travels fast. I've since heard through the grapevine that Linda's now living back with her parents. William got engaged to the bartender, and both he and Linda were fired from their jobs due to their company's strict no-dating policy. Barbara's been banned from at least 2 Starbucks for screaming at baristas she thought resembled William. Susan's been ranting online about cutting ties with toxic family. Sarah, in a truly unexpected twist, is suing Linda for emotional damage caused to her son. As for me, I'm thriving. I sold a house for way more than I expected. Thank you, insane market, and bought myself a sleek condo downtown. Life's been good. I even started seeing Jennifer from the gym. She finds the whole saga hilarious, and occasionally surprises me with coffee labeled "Not William" on the cup. My attorney framed a copy of the Vegas marriage certificate and put it on display in his office with a plaque underneath that reads, "Easiest case ever." To those wondering if I regret how petty I got, the answer is no. She made her choices. She set fire to our life, and I just handed her the lighter fluid. The only thing I do regret is not recognizing the red flag sooner. Like when she told me her ex was crazy for changing his Netflix password after she cheated on him. That should have been my wake-up call. Anyway, thanks to everyone who followed this roller coaster. I'm officially moving on and living my best life. And Linda, because I know you're reading this, since you can't stay off Reddit, Sarah referred to you as a gold-digging succubus at her book club. Just thought you should know. Cool. P.S. for those curious. Yes, this is completely legal where I live. I didn't steal anything. Removing an authorized user from a financial account isn't theft. Changing the locks on my own home isn't a crime. If that upsets you, feel free to stay mad. Oh, and another thing. Stop flooding my inbox asking if Jennifer is single. She's not. We're very happy. Thank you. Also, quit asking for Linda's socials. Let's not sink that low. Final fun fact. William's new fiancée dumped him after learning he was married the whole time. My attorney sent me a copy of the annulment paperwork Linda filed. Under reason, she wrote, temporary insanity. Honestly, I couldn't make this stuff up if I tried.